All right, welcome back. We continue to have that, more discussions off air. Hopefully some of the points that came up will be revealed while we are on air as well. And there's some questions that had been asked before we took the break. But I have one that we had discussed, before we took a previous break. And this is for Dr. Bosire. You spoke about concerns you have about misconceptions around rape. And you even said, and we don't want you to mention names because they're not here to give a right to reply, and you've said you'll write to certain individuals. You are concerned by some of the utterances of people in public spaces. What utterances are those? And chances are if you heard it from one person in a public space, others either hold that same view or will be influenced by the views of that person. What are misconceptions around rape and sexual offences that concern you and worry you? I
think one of the biggest things right now and people are battling around is around when there's marriage.
Okay.
The conversation around rape that occurs in marriage. And the connotations of myths around if you're married to someone, that's like a ticket to having forceful sex, right? Or having
at any time.
At any time. And that's wrong. Rape can actually occur even in marital situations.
So you want people to understand that even in marriage, consent must be given?
Wakili said information, comprehensive information. This is what consent is. Talked about comprehensivity of this information. They talked about voluntariness of this consent. So until an individual has voluntarily given that consent
and not withdrawn it,
and even when they withdraw it at one particular point, you have to stop.
Even during marriage.
Even in marriage.
And can they take you to court for that?
And they can take you to court.
But then that will break the
Sexual Offence Act. You see, this becomes now a criminal case. So the same law that joined you together is the same law that is going to persecute you because it's a criminal matter now, right? Under the Sexual Offence Act.
Isn't that a very risky point?
It's actually, the thing is not around a risky point. The thing is about us being able to discuss violence in all situations, right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of people think that rapists are haggard, they are well-dressed, and rape occurs in dark areas. No, 70% of sexual violence occurs with familiarity, people that we know. It doesn't occur outside the people that we know. The 30% are the thugs on the way, right? So meaning it's our uncles, it's our cousins, it's our brothers, it's our sisters. Remember also, rape can occur, women can actually rape men. It occurs within people that we know. So that's a very important thing. The other important myth around it is the assumption that a 16-year-old, what we call an emancipated adolescent, who if a 16-year-old emancipated adolescent stood here, perhaps their body size is bigger than mine, they speak very intelligently, they seem mature, but according to the law, they are minors because of the age. And I know a lot of people say, in other countries, the age of consent is 16 years. There must be certain reasons why certain jurisdictions, the age of consent is 16 years. But as long as our country, our constitution that guides us, our age of consent is 18 years. That's another thing. So you cannot tell me a 16-year-old can make such a decision with a 19-year-old and not call it rape. That's rape, if it's forceful. That's actually not even rape. Excuse my language. That's defilement. Yes, right? Yeah. And the other misconception that exists around, and this I heard from this influencer, is what is wrong with women wearing the dressing issue that comes in, that you are attracting us. Oh my God, Trevor, if you removed your shirt.
And they were on a TV station,
making such comments. If you came up and removed your shirt, Trevor, you're created in the image of the human, the universe. I will actually appreciate you. But does that give me the audacity or the powers to be able to assault you sexually? No, it doesn't. But also a lot of people think that sexual assault is just about rape penetration. No, there's also harassment, which can actually be verbal, right? I can make you uncomfortable by just verbally. I can see you, like catcalling you. That's also harassment. And we see the lawyers will tell you that right now we actually have precedent in other jurisdictions where people have actually been arraigned to court and prosecuted against because of catcalling. So that's not a reason. There's an exhibition, as I finished that part, there's an exhibition that was done in India, and it showed women and young girls who had been raped, and the clothes that they are wearing, they were in long trousers, they were in long clothes like a dera, and even children. So it's not, we cannot keep talking about women stimulating men. That means there must be something fundamentally wrong with you for you to be attracted by every leg that you see. Fundamentally wrong with you as an individual.
And Wanjeri, doesn't that open the Pandora's box for false accusations as well? Because there's been instances, and I think Engineer Lazaro brought it up, we can even bring up the tweet as well. He was saying that this is almost orchestrated to fight against the men.
It's been weaponized.
Yeah, because even in a marriage, we all know there are differences. So what happens if my wife decides that we utaniona leo? So that happens, she goes to court. There is evidence. There is the seminalisis, it is there, I was there, and maybe we are the rough kind, and maybe, how do you draw that balance between false accusations and the truth?
Okay, you know, first let me put a disclaimer. Not every man who's accused has been accused falsely. I know this question is being brought to me a lot because of what happened with Tony Mochama and me having been a witness in his case.
Yeah.
But what we need to understand is, though the burden of proof lies on you know, medical, for instance, reports and things like that, and the police work and documentation, there are those things that you can't prove medically.
Yeah.
Like if I say, if she accuses me of groping her, it is my word against hers, unless there were witnesses in the room. Yeah. And in this case, like for Tony Mochama, we were 12 of us, and I'm the only one who spoke out.
Why is that?
You know?
Spoke out in defense of the accused. Sorry for our viewers who may have just joined us.
Yes, in defense of Tony Mochama.
Because you saw everything that happened.
Yes,
and
because we were present. We were there. They were having a meeting about poetry, libraries in Nairobi being set up. I was not a poet. In fact, I was on my phone, letting them have this meeting.
The accused, we were going to Story Moja.
Yeah, to Story Moja. And
that's how you happened to be there.
Yes.
Okay.
And I had given him a lift, actually. We'd just met 6 months before in a book signing, a book he was launching and all that, through a mutual friend. So I lived in Langata, I lived in Nairobi West, and he goes like, why don't you give me a lift? So I gave him a lift, and on our way, he receives a phone call reminding him about this meeting he's supposed to have gone to. And he was very uncomfortable and said, why am I being invited to this meeting when these people hate me? And I didn't really get what it was about until now, 2 days later, when the internet exploded.
And this was part of the testimony you gave in court?
Yes.
As the only witness out of 12 people?
Yes, who agreed to come forward.
Who agreed to come forward.
And the reason why it became a defamation case is when the CID investigated us and we were all questioned and we had to go and record statements, the case was thrown out because it did not have evidence to go to court, one. Secondly, it was, they claimed, the police said that it had malicious afterthought. So it's a case that had been brought forward with a malicious afterthought. I'm not a lawyer, but that is how the case never went to court.
Malicious afterthought.
Yes. So because you know you come days later to report the drama that was around it. You know, I was accused of being his girlfriend. His wife left him. I had issues in my marriage because I had to now start proving, am I defending him because I'm his girlfriend? So the internet exploded with even victims who had gone to report, and fake OB numbers were generated. That is those are some of the things that threw this case out. But we do have cases where this happens, where men are accused of doing things and it is weaponized. Those cases are there. And this case with Tony Mochama changed my outlook as a human rights defender on how I deal with sexual assault cases.
In what ways?
Before, naturally, if a woman came and told me she'd been raped, my first instinct would be to believe her without questioning. That is how I would react to these things. And then we would go, okay, fine, let's go report, let's go and do this, let's go and do this. Right now, if you come and tell me you have been raped, before I touch that case, I want documentation. I want proof. I want, have you reported? What is the OB number? What is this? What is that?
What if you're the first point of call? She has not done any of the things you've said. She's terrified. I mean,
now, I take you. Most of this, you find that a lot of the people who genuinely want help will not decline the help. Okay? Now, just a few weeks ago, I received a phone call from a lady who claimed that she had been raped by somebody who's in the Senate. All right? We are not naming names. And I told this lady, listen, are you ready to go the full, you know,
the long haul?
Yeah, because I'm not going to take a case and I go and start making noise about it online when you're not willing to go through these tests, when you're not willing to do A, B, C, D.
Even the exposure and the stigma and the backlash.
And when we sat down, I realized that there could be a component where she's feeling aggrieved because he has left her and he's now with someone else. That happens.
So she declined to go through the steps you
declined to go through the, she declined to go through the process. So she expected she'll give me this information and I'll blast it online. And now, if I put an information like that on my group Buyer Beware with over 100,000 members, what happens? It goes viral. What has happened to that person, his family, his everything? Okay, so later when that case of Tony Mochama opened my mind about how I deal with these issues. Because before, if I was told, I did not want to hear anything. Let me deal with the victim, we'll deal with you badai, you know? But that changed. But yes, it is weaponized.
And Vivian, you've also been counsel, should I say, on a,
Yes.
on a different matter as well.
Yes.
The matter of the 2 rugby players. And of course, the court gave a verdict of guilt,
Yes.
but hasn't sentenced yet. And I know you might be
Yes.
hesitant to sort of wade into it a little bit. But basically, also, I'm sure you have responses to what she
Yes.
said, and feel free to go ahead and share them now.
Let me talk about Section 38 of the Sexual Offences Act that was deleted by number 2 of 2012, that miscellaneous number 2 of 2012. What Section 38 says in the Sexual Offences Act before it was deleted, it says that when you bring false presentation against a person probably on any offence that is in that act, you are liable to be charged with the same offence as to that person. So again,
You're liable to be charged.
yes.
With the same offense.
So probably you coming, let's say Tony Mochama went to court to the criminal side and says that this person, the lady probably comes and says it was rape. And then it finds out, no, it was actually a false presentation, misrepresentation done by this lady. Then you lady, the victim, supposedly, is supposed to be liable for 10 years to a possible extension to life, just because of the false misrepresentation that was coming about.
Why do you think it was deleted?
It was deleted because a group of people came out. They were saying, well, we are not reporting because I only have one evidence.
Yeah.
I only
they were
have one
afraid.
evidence. So they were afraid that I'm supposed to suffer the same, probably fate
Consequences,
that is
yeah.
supposed to be suffered also by
We're
the other side.
actually looking at
It's
it right
literally
there.
there,
Yes, it is written deleted.
Yeah.
It was deleted by number 2 of 2012 Miscellaneous Act.
Yeah.
So what again, as advocates were asked to rely upon is Section 129 of the Penal Code, which basically says that when you make a false presentation on any public officer, on any person, or you give false information to any public officer who includes a police to investigate a probable rape, to investigate a probable defilement, then that is to show that you are liable, that is a misdemeanor, and you are liable for three years in prison. So it is just a misdemeanor. What it did, it opened a Pandora's box for people to really come out with a lot of force to show that, well, now that Section 38 was deleted and I am free to come out, well, it is just a misdemeanor.
My concern is an entry-level worker in a company.
Yes.
Watching this show, currently being sexually harassed, hearing you speak will be terrified to go to a lawyer because they think the person I'm accusing has 10 lawyers for any lawyer I have.
Yeah.
If this case will go their way and I will face the consequences, there's no way I'm speaking up. Is that a fair system?
It is not a fair system, but however, let me say this. You've been given an opportunity. I've said that Section 38 was deleted. So you've been given an opportunity to now come and speak out. And again, I will also say to this young lady at this intern,
Or
young man also, this volunteer guy who has joined this whatever firm.
And you're being told if you want to be permanent and pensionable,
yes,
you need to do XYZ, for example.
The law has given you two options. The law under Section 6 of the Employment and Labor Relations Act has given an option of sexual harassment and reporting, and you are liable to punitive damages. It has given you another option, which is you can either choose one or do both. You can go to the Sexual Offences Act under Section 23 that defines what is sexual harassment. You are able to go to court on that. You're able to go to the Chief Magistrate Court or any criminal court and able to go to the Employment and Labor Relations Court.
But where do you start? Remember, this is an intern. Do they walk into FIDA and tell you their story? Will you do it pro bono?
They look for wanjeries, whatever.
Because sometimes the interns are not paid. In fact, most of the time they're not paid.
I'll advise this, Trevor. Section 6 has mandated all organizations that has 50 employees plus for you to have a sexual harassment policy. First of all, let's talk about this. This organization does not have that sexual harassment policy. You're supposed to be liable. You will pay damages to this in turn. This case was decided, a similar case was decided in a certain firm that I won't mention, a very senior firm in Kenya, of just a guard, the way they just post guard in different malls, different areas. And this particular sexual harassment happened to one of the malls in one of the guards. And that particular firm had no sexual harassment policy, but yet it had 50 plus employees. The guard was awarded damages. This is to say that you need to start with that organization, sexual harassment. You need to start with the HR. The HR probably has that sexual harassment, and it needs to be secretive. The Law Society of Kenya has come up recently, which I know I won't comment much about it because it is still undergoing some public review from the Law Society members. But I will say that the Law Society of Kenya has talked much about it, and it has said that this activity in investigating sexual harassment, it should be secretive. This is to say, probably even you, the HR, you're probably investigating your boss. Okay. So it needs to be secretive. Do it secretive and give this person within 21 days, give them a written resolution. This is how we are doing our progress. If the HR is investigating something that is happening to an intern, please don't make it public. Do it secretive. Within 21 days, within 30 days, please come back to this intern and say, this is a written resolution of our investigations.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Elvis,
I wanted to add something about what Wakili is saying. Is that where there are Section 6 talked about that, about employment. But the question that we need to ask is, how do we bring this law into life? Like, do we just have a document that exists within these institutions? The other thing is that all these, for example, if it's a commercial company, they are registered through the office of the registrar, right? Can we have that as part of the requirements, which is regularly checked and updated, that by the time you're getting the certificate of registration, then you actually inject life into it. Otherwise, it'll just be a section and it'll just be a document that exists.
All right. Elvis, there was a question from one of the viewers to describe what assault is, abuse is, harassment, the definitions and the line difference.
And which one is chargeable, which is an offense.
Okay, so I'll just start from where my learned colleague stopped. Harassment is provided for under Section 23, and it is classified in terms of someone who is an authority harassing someone who's not in authority. Like, for instance, that employer-employee relationship, or a public figure with someone who has some sort of power and control, making unwanted sexual gestures or sexual activity to the person in their control. That is sexual harassment. Sexual assault, on the other hand, is maybe before I talk about sexual assault, let me talk about distinguish between rape, defilement, and sexual assault. For rape, rape happens where, you know, it's the most common that people know, unlawful and intentional causing of penetration without the consent. Then, of course, when it becomes a child, that is defilement. Now, assault, on the other hand, is causing a person causing a part of their body, or manipulating a tool or something else to cause penetration. So that is a nutshell summary with regards to the Sexual Offences Act on the distinction between all this.
Okay, thank you for that. Our time is up. I can't believe it. I'm trying to see if I can give my panelists one sentence each, a message, and I think it's to speak out to survivors. I don't know that someone would have a message here for perpetrators, for human resource departments, for people in authority.
And from the legal team, where do I go?
As well.
That's
literally one sentence each. Dr. Bosira, one message.
Anytime there's a sexual offense, anytime you feel you've been violated, first point of place, a medical facility.
Okay. Thank you. We'll take that as your last message. We'll come back and do this another day one day.
Kenya is right now for Me Too movement. We just need the women to come together, unite, and start this thing.
Women only?
Not just women only, even men. But this is going to be more powerful if it is female-led. Okay. And I'll tell you why. When women put their minds to doing something and they focus on it, it works. Expecting men to start it will be difficult because of the stigma and the trauma. And Me Too has worked in other countries because all the feminists or the women who work around these issues have come together and decided this needs to be done. Kenya is ready for that.
Kenya is ready for that. Vivian, one word?
Partners involved in promoting the sexual offences, partners in promoting and fighting for these victims, please see the first resolution of the UN General Assembly done on the 20th of November last year. That's it. Then we'll pick up from there the next conversation.
Okay, Elvis.
For me, I'll just say, let us not be afraid to speak out for all the survivors out there. Let us stand with the truth, let us speak out, and it's only by speaking out that we will make the society better.
What do you want to say about men in particular?
Yes, for men, now there are institutions that have come forth to help you speak out. There's Vunja Kimya Foundation, there's all other foundations and institutions. You can Google them out, and are men actually going to those institutions? Yes,
and speaking
they are.
You've seen that?
Yes, there's an actual radical improvement. Men are now coming up, so do not feel afraid because of stigma, because these structures include counseling and working with you to be able to speak out.
All right, thank you so much for making time this morning. That does it for this discussion. Let's see what you're saying online at Citizen TV Kenya, Trevor Mbija, Twaiga Moura, #Daybreak. Let's bring them up. See what you're saying. RM Kabana says prevention strategies from the community must be enhanced. Post-violence cases must be budgeted for fully, and county leadership should recognize this as a priority.
Okay, let's take a look at another tweet here. This one coming in from Amwai Brand. How can we make progress when we don't speak out? Communication is important in solving the problem. But when we keep quiet, especially for men, because of how society perceives such a complaint as outrageous when coming from a man, then it's a case of 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
All right. Let's see what else you're saying on social media here. The hashtag is Daybreak. Governor254, he says assault survivors respond differently. There's no right or wrong way to react after being sexually abused. The assault can be so overwhelming that we may respond in 3 ways: fight, flee, or even freeze. Wow. He continues to say, freeze in order to escape accountability for his crimes. The perpetrator does everything in his power to promote forgetting. If secrecy fails, the perpetrator attacks the credibility of his victim. If he cannot silence her absolutely, he tries to make sure no one listens.
Wow, what a description there. Okay, we have 3 SMSs. Let's start with the first one coming in via 22422. Kitai-san from Nairobi. Are there measures put up to determine and examine whether a man is raped? You always talk about forceful penetration, not forceful insertion. Although I think somebody mentioned here that there are ways to check.
We were meant to ask that, Dr. Busiri. Okay, but you can give 1 line. Yes. Is it possible?
It's very possible to actually determine
what do you look for?
We're looking for forensic evidence like scratches, lacerations, hairs, skin scrapings on the nails and all, nail beds and all that.
Okay.
Because
so men should also go to those medical facilities as soon as possible. Immediately, actually. Okay. Last 2 SMSs.
There's another SMS we were going through. Just bring them up again. You don't leave a name, but you say progress will come only with the competent special police squad trained specifically to deal with sexual offences only.
That's a very good idea.
Currently, the situation is worsened by use of untrained administrators like chiefs and poorly trained administration police in the field of investigation.
Okay, and one last SMS here. This one coming in from Governor the Dreamer. Okay, wow. Everyone heals in their own time and in their own way. The path isn't always a straight line, and you don't need to go it alone. We've also got an SMS which we won't show of someone who says they want to speak out.
Yeah.
And so we'll connect them with one of our guests here or an institution after, when we finish the program, to talk about that and how we can help that person. We have seen your SMS.
Absolutely. Speak out.
You had 1 line.
The agenda desks. In every police station,
there are gender desks.
Yes,
but not all.
Not functionality.
Okay.
Not all.
Functionality of those gender desks.
They're on paper.
Operational, not all.
Operationalization is an issue.
That's another discussion for another day. We wrap it up here. We take a break. Today is what? Workout Wednesday?
Workout Wednesday. Willis is probably working out somewhere. He's cycling. He's talking to Sally, I believe, from Dada Rides.
Okay.
It's a women riders club.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're competing, I believe.
Cycling or motorbike?
Cycling.
Okay.
By scaling.
Okay, by scaling. You can work out with a motorbike. Okay. Good. We take a break. That on the other side of this break. Thank you.